Well, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar for this month. We have something special for you today. We have just 3 months before the end of the year, and we have a special guest here that's going to be our moderator. I'd like to introduce you to Tom Gump. Tom, take it away.
Well, thank you, Lloyd. I really appreciate that. Alex and Lloyd and Mindy and Addie have been working on a very special program. They've been thinking about the areas of membership that we could actually have an impact within the next 76 days. When we go through Rotary, there's always a dip in membership in December and another dip at the end of our Rotary year in June, as clubs tend to clean up their books and maybe um, get rid of some members that were not effective members that weren't engaging. So they have come up with some ideas that'll be really helpful for us over the next 76 days before the end of the year. So we have Alex Johnson, who's going to be talking about engaging Rotary members, one of the most important parts of membership growth. Mindy Snyder is going to be talking about personal interaction and the importance of personal interaction. Lloyd Campbell is going to be talking about club achievements, individual achievements, and how do you recognize them in order to retain members. And then Addie's going to be talking about using assessments and those Rotary tools we always talk about, and how do we act upon the answers once we get them. So we're going to start by asking a couple questions to Alex. So Alex, can you tell us a little bit about engaging members and the importance of it?
Thank you, Tom, and I appreciate you being our esteemed moderator. Engagement is one of the main reasons why people join Rotary. They join Rotary because they want to do something. They want to help their community. They want to make a difference. And so when people are dissatisfied with their club, it's often because they don't feel they're making a difference. And one of the proven ways of making a difference is serve your community. When you identify what the needs are, then you start developing service projects to help your community, so then your members feel like they're actually making a difference. Oftentimes people want to do more than go to a weekly meeting, have a meal, do some fundraising, write in a check. They actually want to get their hands dirty in changing lives. And so that's one of the things as we move into the end of the Rotary year. If you have club members that aren't involved, we'll get them involved. Well, to get them involved, your club needs to actually do things. You could do service projects. That engagement could also be social activities. I know my club in general, Plano West Rotary, every month we have a happy hour of social engagement. And sometimes we get 10 people, sometimes we get 5 people. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows they're going to be able to show up and have a good time with fellow members. Well, that makes a difference. And there's not a program, it's just people getting to know each other. And then more importantly, we have these service projects. We have, at one point, a lot of people know a number of years ago, Plano West Rotary was the fastest growing Rotary club in North America. It went from 21 members to 63 members. And it did that strictly by doing 6 small service projects every month. So not only did we gain members, we kept our existing members. And so the best way of you keeping your existing members is to do service projects and find out what projects those members are interested in, where they care about in the community. Ask them, do they volunteer with other nonprofits? And your Rotary Club could partner with them. Engagement is really the secret sauce to keeping people involved in Rotary.
So Alex, you know a lot about membership and you know a lot about engagement because you spend a lot of time going to district conferences and pets and visiting with the districts and the clubs in our paired zone. Can you tell us the number one, if you only had to choose one, what's the most critical engagement strategy for someone to use a club or district at this point with only 76 days left in the year, with the idea of keeping those members this year?
I love that question, Tom. When I talk to club presidents or club members right now, and they say, what can we do right now to keep our members, to get them engaged? Talk to them. Talk to your individual members. Talk to the members that you don't see at your meetings, that aren't typically involved. Call them. Don't send them an email. Call them and ask them, how would you like for our club to work with the community better? What are your passions? And then they will tell you what they're interested in. More importantly, if they are actually involved in a nonprofit, ask them, what is that nonprofit? Can you introduce me to them? Maybe we could do a service project with them. I'm not saying writing a check. I mean, do a service project with them. When you do that, when you reach out to these club members that are not normally involved in your club and you ask them, what are you interested in? That's going to make them want to stay because they feel they're part of something. They're part of something bigger than themselves, and they're an equal member with you. So if somebody asks me, what do we do if we have a club member that wants to leave? Ask them, how can we change the community with you and get them involved?
Thank you, Alex. I agree with you. You know, this weekend I attended the 5580 District Conference, and they had an expert in fundraising. And he was saying that today it's so competitive because people are giving less dollars and they're giving it to fewer organizations. And he said the key to being successful is hyper personalization. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking that really applies to membership. So when you talk about engagement, can you hyper personalize engagement to keep certain members?
Most definitely. And you have to hyper personalize it. And you're not only just hyper personalizing it to your members, but to your community. You have to have service projects that are meaningful, that are having an impact in your community. And your club members, they're the ones that are going to have those relationships. So when you're talking to your club members about what's meaningful to you in our community, they're going to tell you. Well, then work with them. That person who's going to leave the club because they don't feel you're doing anything, they're going to rethink that when they are personally involved in a service project in their community that means something to them. Who's going to leave a club that's serving an area of the community that means something to you? People leave because they don't feel the club is doing anything worthwhile. Well, make them part of the solution. When people are part of the solution, they will remain, they will get their friends, they'll get their family members, they will make a difference, and they will be the biggest cheerleader for your club. So you convert somebody that's thinking about leaving into probably your next president because now they're passionate about what you're doing as a Rotary Club.
That's an excellent point. And, you know, it leads me to ask Mindy, our Media Past District Governor from Texas, can you tell us about personal interaction and the importance of personal interaction?
Of course. And great to see you, Tom, as well as Alex and Addie and Lloyd. I consider each one of you personal friends. And to me, that's a big thing of fostering the interpersonal relationships is creating friends. And I have friends across the whole world, thanks to Rotary, which leads to opportunities that you never would have had you not, fostered those relationships. I just came back from Paris last night for a wonderful girls trip, 8 girls, 4 of whom were Rotarians and 4 were friends of the birthday girl, but would not have had that opportunity had we not fostered, those relationships. And I think we all have to keep in mind that, we're similar, like-minded individuals. We're all service-oriented, and we have that passion to do things like service. And the number one reason that a lot of people stay in Rotary is friendships. So be curious and ask questions and say, why do you want to do this? And what do you like to get involved in? And that helps foster those relationships. And those connections keep people engaged and keep people wanting to stay and do more. So I think that's the answer for you.
And that's the right answer. It's interesting because the Rotary Magazine is actually doing an article in the August edition of the North American edition. They'll probably go to the regional magazines about friendships and how important it is and how Rotary can foster that. But I'm wondering, Mindy, I understand you're really good at that, and congratulations on that fun trip. It sounds great. But how would a club or a district foster individual personal interaction?
Sure. Another great question, definitely. And I think a good way to do that is make sure your members have a purpose. And this could be in smaller clubs to larger clubs, get to know the members. Like I just said, be curious, ask, what do they like? What are their passions? And in the big clubs, you have much more of an opportunity to have small teams, and you don't want to have, say, the traditional slate of board of officers for Rotary Club. You want to have teams working, because if you have one person doing membership or you have 5 people doing membership, there's a lot more more ideas when there's 5 people doing it, and there's that opportunity to build the friendships and the opportunity to get more people engaged and stay engaged. So I think we just have to think outside of the box and make sure that we are using our opportunities to help foster those relationships and help build those friendships as the leaders in the clubs. You know, it's not just, oh gosh, I didn't get slated as an officer, I'm not going to do anything. No, we want everybody to find their purpose, because that's what it's all about, finding your purpose. And sometimes it takes encouragement to get there.
And I know your district is so good at that. Whenever I go down to your area, they're always kind to invite everyone to the barbecue, and you have those good personal interactions. So for our audience tonight, can you give us the best example of how a one-on-one personal interaction retained a member that we would have lost otherwise?
Of course. And this one's personal to me. It's actually a member that I brought into our club, and she came to our club and made a presentation, and you know, she said, wow, this is such a great organization, and thank you for the money that y'all gave me. And she runs an after school program. And I said, you know, if you would consider joining our club, then you're in front of us all the time and you're part of our club. You're a huge servant and you have a servant's heart. And she did, and, you know, was a great member, was struggling to get there because she runs the after school program, but she also has a mother that does a food truck, and they were going to another town on the day that we meet. So she was having trouble coming to the meetings. And I said, you know what? It's okay. Because she said, I think I'm going to have to get out. I said, no, you don't have to get out. You serve. You're at every service project. Every service project we do. We have members that never show up for a service project, but you're always there. And if we have a social, you're there. You're being a Rotarian. You're doing the right things. You can't make it to our noon meeting. So I think you just have to remember to think about, you know, meet people where they are and make sure that you're being compassionate and not just saying, oh gosh, if you can't be here at lunch, then we don't want you as a Rotarian. Understand that everybody has, you know, busy lives and needs, and things change, and we have to be understanding of that. So I think the best thing we can do is just help, again, encourage and foster those, you know, relationships that we're here to support you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. That's really useful. I'm going to try to use that in my club. So Lloyd, can you tell us a little bit about achievement, recognition, and how we can use that to retain members in our clubs and in our districts? Lloyd, you're muted. Too many in-person meetings, I think.
Oh, you know, I'm sure Alex muted me some kind of way. What I was actually going to say is, it's glad to have you here because you're part of Rotary International Membership Committee. So you're pretty close to what's going on as far as membership is concerned with Rotary International. You know, it's when we talk about recognition, it's difficult to talk about it in a vacuum, because we have to understand why we're recognizing people and why it's important. And that leads us to goals. Why we have personal goals, and we have also group goals. And goals is that thing that focuses us, gives us direction, and gives us purpose. And without those goals, it's hard to make recognition to people for achieving anything. So they have to have those goals. Now, some goals are very simple. It's like, oh, I'm going to ask someone to come to my club today or come to our project today. Then some clubs might say, oh, you know, I haven't seen Tom in a long time. He's been traveling around the world. It'll be nice if I can give him a call and see what's going on there. And that's sort of an idea of fellowship. I know you're hearing this over and over again about that personal relationship that we have with our members and how it's going to be tied into recognition. It's simple because we will decide to establish some goals at the beginning of the year. We need to keep those goals in front of our members as the year goes, and then remind them near the end that, hey, let's make that final push to make something happen. It could be, like I said, simply as saying, I'm going to call a member that I haven't seen in a little while. Or it could be as complicated, maybe saying, I'm going to increase the diversity in my club. In all situations, it's important that you write those goals down. Now, those goals can be personal, club, district, zone, Rotary International, but it's important that you write those things down. Now, Rotary has made it simple for us because They provide us with the information where to write the goals down, make sure we do those things. And the next step is to develop this culture of celebration. And that is probably the key that makes all this worthwhile. Um, one example of this I can think of is, and maybe you can remember, I think we visited a club where they chartered. This was a Interact club. Um, and they were part of competing high schools. They only had a small group of 30 members, but they put on a fantastic charter event, including food, dancing, the whole 9 yards. They developed this culture of celebration. And now they have over 70 members. So the idea of celebrating is key. And when you look at the awards that Rotary gives out, if you look at the ones from Rotary International, there's a zillion of them. I actually went to Google and had 3 pages of them. And you ask yourself, what type of impact is that having? Maybe so, a little bit here and there. But when you go down to the club level, that's what Rotary actually happens. And that being at the club level, recognizing people who are engaged, who are making a difference, is the thing that makes Rotary grow. So it's extremely important that we at the club level make things happen.
Now, it's interesting, Lloyd. I hear you talking about the end of the year. I hear you talk about celebrating. I know we have 3 districts in Illinois that have conferences over the next 2 weekends. And we have a friend on this webinar tonight from the Philippines. And I remember going to his district a couple of years ago. And, you know, we always get the questions, incoming district governors or district governors, how do I get a lot of people at my conference? And I remember this was a smaller, Mike's district was smaller, a smaller district, but they had 650 people, which was the maximum capacity for the venue they had. And this was coming out of COVID. And so I was wondering how they did it. But sure enough, like you were saying, Lloyd, every president walked in with a banner with her or his name on it, and they processed in. And at the last thing of the conference, everyone was given a plaque with a gavel, and every single president was on that stage. So I think you have something there. Can you give us a personal example where you have seen awards at a district conference or at a club that actually led to membership retention?
Sure, and I can give an example of my particular club. There was a gentleman who was, I guess, past president of the club and being a longtime member, but he was sort of waning one way or the other if he was going to stay. Very active both in the community and also in our club. And he was awarded Rotarian of the Year. When that happened, he knew something was up because his family was there all of a sudden. But it made him stay with the club. And we've had some ups and downs in our clubs, but this is a gentleman that's been a Rotarian, a strong supporter in the community. And one of the things that I can say that was probably one of the things that sort of pushed them to stay with Rotary. I think that personal contact in any situation, especially with Rotary, is extremely important because that is the fellowship that ties us together. When we look at our numbers from from year 0 to 2, you know, people leave pretty quickly. They haven't developed that fellowship with their members yet. But when we see those members from 5 to 10 years, they're around forever. They've developed that fellowship. So we need to make sure that we focus on that 1 to 5 year span of new members, get them engaged. And like I say, you're going to hear me sound like a broken record, but get them engaged, get them, show the fellowship with them. And when they walk into your meetings, call their names, say their names, know them by their first name, not like, hey, you. Say, hey, John, nice to see you today. All those little things make a difference.
I'm sure they do. Thank you. That's good advice. So what advice would you give a district or club that doesn't have a lot of extra cash, since things are all getting more expensive nowadays? Can you still do recognitions without spending a lot of money?
Oh, absolutely. They have this thing they call social media uh, um, with different platforms. And basically, it's free. When you have an event that you're recognizing someone, put it on social media. What happens is not only will your club members know about it, but the whole community, your whole network would know about what a fantastic job this person is doing. And when he walks through his community, people will, he'll be able to hold his head up high and people will walk up and say, hey, I saw that award that you had the other day. Costs you nothing. So social media can be a godsend.
That's wonderful. Well, that's good advice. Thank you. Addie, I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about one of my favorite topics, which is the value of membership surveys.
Well, hi, Tom. Always a pleasure to be with you. And of course, this august panel of my fellow classmates, Mindy and Lloyd, and of course, my boss, Alex. So it's good to be here. Before we dive into the topic of member surveys, I want to highlight the incredible value they bring to our Rotary clubs worldwide. Think of them as the conversations you have when getting to know someone new. They reveal insights that help build stronger connections, like we've been talking about. Member surveys are our way of truly understanding both our new and longtime members. They give us the tools to enhance our club's value, increase engagement, and ensure everyone's satisfaction and benefits. Surveys come in various forms. They're short, long, open-ended questions, and close-ended, each adaptable to any industry. So when they're done thoughtfully, they uncover essential insights into our members' needs and areas of improvement. It's not just about asking questions. It's about asking the right questions. Close-ended questions, for instance, help us track trends, while open-ended questions provide valuable qualitative data. So when crafting the surveys, you have to be strategic. The strategic thinking is key. Tailoring the questions for different types of members provides deep insight into what attracts and retains them. A mix of both types of questions ensures a comprehensive understanding. So luckily, there are user-friendly tools that you don't have to create these surveys yourself. You have some tools like Zoho Survey, SurveyMonkey, which a lot of people are familiar with, and Google Forms. They help streamline the process. These platforms can be customized to fit your various unique needs. So once you gather responses, it's crucial to share the results with our members and acknowledge their participation. Advertise it, make sure that they know it's coming, and then acknowledge their participation. Even negative feedback is valuable, as it helps to identify areas of improvement. For new members, question about their discovery, how they come about the Rotary. The likelihood of renewal are crucial. Understanding their preferences empowers us to tailor our offerings accordingly. Equally important also are surveys for existing members. Exploring renewal intentions, ask them before they leave. Event attendance, participation in service projects, and likelihood of recommendations to gauge satisfaction and engagement levels. In conclusion, I would say member surveys are essential tools for Rotary clubs worldwide. They help us evolve, adapt, and thrive in changing world. We know that going into COVID and coming out of it. By listening to our members, we can retain them and reduce the risk of member attrition, which we suffer from. Appreciate your attention for listening. Let's continue to leverage member surveys to drive positive change within our clubs. Engaged and heard members are more likely to have a positive experience and remain committed to Rotary.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. Now, Ben Cole has a question. He wants to know if there are samples that we can get him and we can share with individuals.
Well, on the Learning Center, they do have some information on surveys. And if you go in there, you'll be able to find some information on samples, things you can ask new people and also existing members. So that would be a place to go look. And then one of the things that I've done many times, I go into Yahoo or Google and I just say Rotary surveys, something like that, and you'd be surprised what you get. Because a lot of our clubs share in our districts, they share their products. So that's another source.
And Addie, how often would you say that we need to survey?
At least twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Early in the Rotary year, and then somewhere in the middle. Of course, there's that last survey, the third one, which is the exit survey. It's important too, but we want the first two surveys to ensure that only a handful or maybe nobody's taking the exit survey.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I once had a president in my district call me because he was new to being president. And he said that half of his club, which is about 20 people, were trying to do away with the four-way test. And the other half were trying to keep the four-way test. That was his perception. Of course, I didn't go into the COL. He wanted, detailed explanations. He just wanted to know what to do. So I said, do a survey and get back to me. And when he did the survey, what he found out, there was only 2 out of the 20 members that wanted to do away with the four-way test. They were just more vocal than the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that sometimes just having that information is valuable because you can go back to the club and say, we listened to you and the majority said this. But can you tell me, what do you do with the feedback once you get the survey answers, the results of the survey?
So to effectively act on feedback from member surveys, clubs should follow a structured approach focused on addressing, for instance, what you just mentioned, key findings and implementing meaningful changes. So I'll give you a little concise plan, about 7 steps. First, review and analyze the feedback. Prioritize the action items. Develop an action plan. Communicate with members. Implement changes. Then evaluate the impact and iterate and improve, so rinse and recycle. So review and analyze, thoroughly examine survey responses, identify common themes, trends, areas of concern, categorize the feedback into actionable items based on priority and relevance. Then focus on addressing high priority issues that have the most significant potential to improve member satisfaction, engagement, and overall club performance. Then create a detailed plan outlining specific strategies, initiatives, and timelines for addressing each prioritized issue. Assign responsibilities, engage your club in this, to club leaders or committees for accountability. Communicate with members transparently, share the survey findings, share the action plan, and propose changes with all club members. Seek additional input and feedback to ensure alignment with member expectations. And then execute the action plan effectively, making necessary adjustments based on ongoing feedback. Monitor progress slowly and address any obstacles or challenges implementing your plan. Then continuously assess the impact of implemented changes on member satisfaction, engagement, and overall club performance. Use follow-up surveys, if you need to, as feedback mechanisms to measure progress. And then use the survey results as an ongoing feedback loop, to inform future initiatives and improvements. Maintain a culture of continuous improvement within the club, regularly seeking input from members. By following these practices, clubs can leverage member surveys to drive positive change, enhance satisfaction, and strengthen the overall club experience.
That's really good advice. It's interesting that you say you should do it twice a year. That makes sense to me because there's always people coming in your club and there's always people leaving your club. So you need to know what's going on with your club. And that culture in your club is constantly changing for that reason. And let's face it, if we don't give our members what they want, it's like any other business, they're going to walk away. And I really appreciated what you said about feedback because, doing the survey, people are going to know you care because you're asking them. But if you don't go through those steps that you talked about, then you're not really listening to them because you're not implementing that change. So it seems to me whenever our club does a survey, most people are satisfied or somewhat satisfied, and only about less than 5% are dissatisfied or very dissatisfied. But it's interesting when we drill down as to why they're dissatisfied, it always comes up to a few issues. They don't like either where we meet, when we meet, or our socials or our service projects. So how would you address that in your feedback?
Well, with the feedback, you want to you look at those risk of member loss. Those are those who are really, those two, for instance, that you mentioned in the forward test. It's crucial to immediately take action to their issues, the underlying issues, and mitigate that risk. So I recommend a few actions that you can do. So you reach out to those at-risk members. Contact the members who have expressed dissatisfaction or who have signaled potential departure to understand their concerns better. Engage in open and empathetic conversations to identify the specific reasons. Sometimes, again, they gloss over them. You need to dive deeper into that, find out what their dissatisfaction is, and explore potential solutions with them. Offer personalized support, provide personalized support and assistance to the at-risk members to address their concerns and resolve any issues they may be facing. All solutions tailored to their needs and preferences to demonstrate that their feedback is valued and that the club is committed to their satisfaction. And then you reinforce the value proposition. You reinforce the value proposition of the club membership by highlighting the benefits, opportunities, and experiences that members may be overlooking or underestimated. You emphasize the unique value that the club offers and how membership contributes to personal and professional growth. And let's not forget networking and community engagement. And then you try to implement immediate changes. Don't lag behind. Identify and implement immediate changes or solutions to address the most pressing concerns raised by at-risk members. This may include revising club policies, improving communication channels, enhanced program offerings, the lunch times and those kind of things, addressing specific issues related to club culture. And a lot of times, sometimes it's even leadership. Might be question about the style or a particular leader, so have those things addressed. Seek feedback and input continuously. Again, I mentioned the loop. Seek feedback and input from at-risk members to understand their evolving needs, their preferences and expectations. And then use the feedback to inform ongoing improvements and initiatives aimed at retaining existing members and attracting new ones. So we also don't want to let those members that have been there go, but sometimes these feedbacks, help attract new members. And then you need to monitor your retention metrics, closely to track the effectiveness of interventions, and identify any emerging trends or patterns that may require attention. Regularly assess member satisfaction, their engagement levels, seeing how many people are involved, how many people are showing up at club events, at club meetings, who you're not seeing all the time, and the retention rates need to be gauged to impact the implemented changes and adjust strategies accordingly. So by taking, these and many other actions, clubs can demonstrate their commitment to addressing member concerns, fostering loyalty, and proactively mitigating the risk of member loss. Effective communication, personalized support, and timely interventions are essential to retaining members and maintaining a vibrant and engaged club community. One of the jokes I always talk about is, how do you define commitment? I always talk about it as being a ham and egg sandwich. In an egg and eggs in a ham and egg sandwich, the chicken is contributing, but the pig is committed. We want committed members, So it's a give and take. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, wonderful. Thank you. I got a lot of value out of that. I appreciate that. So we have a friend on the line from the UK, Naomi Watkins Crook, and she has a simple question. In the UK, you can volunteer without joining a club. You could actually go to the health department, you can volunteer. So the question is, why would anyone pay to join a Rotary Club if they can volunteer for free? For whoever wants to answer in the panel.
So I'll start with that one because to me, it's the opportunity to meet people that are like-minded individuals. If you want to serve at just a local, food pantry or something like that, I mean, certainly that's a good thing to do, but you don't have the opportunities that you have through Rotary with 1.4 million Rotarians and so many connections and so many ways to have experiences and, have family across the world. A quick story, we had a past district governor that had a skiing accident in Tahoe, Nevada. And what happens? One of our, I don't think she was international director at the time, but Vicki Pulitz, ended up coming to Rhonda's rescue basically and took care of her bedside and let her stay at her house. I mean, who else would she have called in Reno if she wasn't connected through Rotary? So I think it's a huge opportunity that opens the world for you.
I love that answer. And I get people asking me that question all the time. Why pay to volunteer? And it's because we're more than just volunteering. We're a family. We're a global family. You pay, like all of you are my good friends, all spread over the US because we're all in Rotary. And Rotary is a lot more than just showing up and volunteering. It's being part of something bigger than yourself. I mean, I could have never contributed to eliminating polio on my own, but I know that our Rotary family is doing it. And so I always tell everybody, because you want new friends. I mean, that's a big reason why you want to pay to volunteer, because you're paying for the experience, you're paying for the camaraderie of being able to volunteer in things that you never would have thought of being able to do. It just opens up a lifetime of opportunities.
Both of those are great answers. From my perspective, we are more than just service. When when I look at some of the experiences I've had and some of the folks who've actually joined our club. They also join for leadership opportunities and also join for fellowship opportunities. I live in a small club in a small town, in a small club, admittedly. But in our club, we have some of the leaders in the community, and it's very rare that they have the opportunity to rub shoulders with them. And some of the other clubs that I've visited around the state, same thing applies. From everybody from the principal or the superintendent of schools or the mayor, they're there and they have the opportunity to sit next to them and talk about some of the important issues that are going on. So I think that fellowship and leadership is also one of the key components. Just a side note here, we have something we call Rotary Community Corps, where we actually go out and survey a community and say, hey, this is something that we need to do. And they will bring in collaborative other groups and go out and do service projects. No funds are actually involved in that. But one of the things that actually comes out of that joint effort is they see the camaraderie, they see what Rotary is all about. And then all of a sudden they say, hey, I want to join this organization. It's actually getting things done. So yeah, I see where you think that volunteers might be the only thing Rotary does. And it's an important thing. I keep going back to this. See, you got me talking now. I keep going back to this club in Plano, just how quickly they grew from a small club to a large club simply by providing service. But one of the other things that they can also provide is also that leadership component, and especially you have young members, and you have older members who love to mentor people in a leadership opportunity, and also fellowship. I like to know that the mayor of the town is my best friend. So that's a small comment there.
Yeah, I'd like to add to, payment is also a membership dues is a commitment. It's part of that that being the pig sort of thing. It's a commitment. But not only that, it's amazing what we're able to do with the foundation. As you said, couldn't handle my $50 or $100 going to polio wasn't what is carrying the load. It's all of us collectively contributing to that. The things that we're able to do locally and globally comes from our individuals committing and paying our way. It's part of it's part of being in that club, and along with the fellowship. My favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life. When this guy met his angel, and he says, we don't spend money in heaven. He says it comes in pretty handy down here, Bob. So we have to. It helps us achieve some of the mission.
Well, thank you, all of you. I think those are all excellent answers, and I agree with that. And Naomi, a couple of years ago, Dave King, who's the editor of your regional magazine, asked me that same question, asked me to write an article on it. And when I actually looked at the service that Rotary does, it's the only organization I know of where we can see an issue, we could design a project, we can raise the money and implement it. If I wanted to volunteer for the American Cancer Society, I could do that, but I would be doing their projects. In Rotary, we could design our own projects, either locally or internationally, and do it. So I think that's another good thing. Now we have Elaine Hernandez, who is one of our regular attendees here. And she wants to know, how do we avoid burnout? We have that one person who does an excellent job as our club president, and then we ask him to be an encore president and do it again. How do we ensure that our club leaders have a balanced life and we don't burn them out? For whoever wants.
Okay, I was just thinking this. I hope this doesn't sound harsh, but this appears to be a membership issue. And when I say that is that one of the things I think clubs should always do is try to attract new members to their organization. One of the things I used to tell clubs, I'll walk into a meeting and say, how many people invited folks to this meeting? And maybe one or two hands would go up. And I sort of took it personally because I thought they knew I was coming, so nobody showed up. But the reality of it is that this is a membership organization that invite people to become members. So it's important that we invite people to come to our clubs, to our meetings, and also to our projects, so they can see what Rotary is about. And then you slowly grow, and you will grow members. When you grow members, you have access to more people who will want to become president or vice president or take an office. But when you are not growing your membership, then, and that's why I say it might sound harsh, when you're not growing your membership, then those same people are just rotating through those positions again, and burnout will happen. So, one of the things that you can do is attract more people to your organization. I just attended a Rotary meeting where I was introduced to the new president-elect of the club, and she's been only a member for a few years, but she loves Rotary and wants to get involved, and she's in that little time zone that we need to make sure we keep those people engaged, because that's the future of Rotary.
I just talked to a past president of a Rotary Club this evening about this very same thing. They're having some leadership issues. And I told them, no matter what you do, we don't want you to do your third year as president, because he had previously been president a couple of years. And I go, it's better to have somebody new that has to be mentored and trained, that's going to promote the growth of the club, than reach back and get somebody from the past, because you need the new ideas, you need the new energy, and it's good for the club to mentor from within, because this is a problem that happens at the district level and the club level. We have PDGs that don't want to let go. So we don't grow the district leadership because the PDGs want to have relevancy. And we all know that hurts districts. Same thing at the club level. If you have all these past presidents doing everything that's important, well, your club's not going to grow, because you need new energy, new ideas. Someone's going to join your club and say, wow, I have to be here 20 years to do anything important. This isn't any fun. So the best way of avoiding burnout is have term limits. Don't let people do things forever. 3 years, and they got to groom from within, build a bench, have a co-chair. If clubs would do that, we would have less burnout and more new energy. And it encourages people to stay in Rotary, because somebody said leadership is a reason why people join Rotary. Well, you have to give people leadership opportunities for that to happen.
And I said this earlier, but I'll say it again, just on one of the things that works really well in some clubs that I'm in, our club and other clubs, is the team approach. So we have a membership team, and we have a social team that puts together, they have more fun being the team that plans our socials. They invite their spouses and they make it a fun thing. So, it's much better to have 5 people doing the job rather than one person stressing over it. We have social media. Our public image team now is a team, and so that way it doesn't put everything on one person's shoulders, and it helps to get new, maybe they're brand new, helps to get them involved, and helps people to see that, it's not so bad. You don't have to do it all yourself. We're all in it together. And I think it opens up those leadership opportunities.
There's a saying that the load is a lot lighter when we all lift.
So it also answers the burnout question. If we have the team, not only do we engage people, they, stay, but also helps with the burnout. So Ben Cole found the surveys, and there's 7 different assessment tools on the Learning Center. And Chris Knapp.
If I could interrupt, actually, I uploaded it in the chat for everybody. There's a link. There's a document from Rotary International, and within that document, it actually links other survey resources as well as digital tools. So everybody that's interested in the survey that Addie was talking about, look in the chat, and I'll go ahead and link it again.
Thank you for doing that, Alex. And Chris Knapp brings up a good point. You can add or subtract and tailor it to your club. And there's different surveys, and Addie can tell us which one was best, but sometimes there's a member satisfaction survey that does surveys the members, but you could also use the club health check, and you could survey your board of directors. But if you find there's too much legalese, you can do what Addie said. You can cut and paste that into SurveyMonkey, and you can make it, as simple as you want. You can say, do you like when we meet, where we meet? Do you like how we meet, in person or virtual? Do you like our socials? Do you like our surveys? 5 or 6 questions could answer a lot.
Yeah, keep those surveys short.
Yeah, you're right, because they won't answer them. Good point. Good point. Sharon Burke wants to know why the rationale behind getting rid of the 4-way test. I'm not sure of that. It wasn't my club. I was just answering it, but that's a good question. That's one of our cornerstones, and I don't know why somebody would want to do away with
I
it.
think we live in interesting times.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
probably part of it.
Yeah. And Lena Beller said that one of the values of Rotary is that internationality. Like Mindy said, she has friends all over the world. And when you go to an international convention, you make friends from all over the world. So that's another good point that we have a lot. And a lot of people liked all the panelists' questions. So, and I know we're about the time where we want to go give everyone an opportunity, of every one of the panelists an opportunity to give us just a minute or two of what you think about things now that you've heard the other panelists speak.
Well, I'll start off to say, I think the other panelists are amazing. We had a fantastic moderator, Tom Gump, thank you, and Mindy, Addie, and Lloyd. For those that don't know, Mindy, Addie, and Lloyd are assistant Rotary coordinators responsible for multiple districts. And our goal is to help your district membership chair. So as you have membership questions, please engage your district membership chair. They know who their assistant Rotary coordinator is. We will help you grow your club. And my final words are, we have 3 months left, 2.5 months in this Rotary year. Talk to your members. People don't quit if they feel engaged, if they feel your club is making an impact and they feel they have a future. The people you don't talk to, they're the ones that are not going to pay their final dues. They're the ones that are going to leave. So talk to them. Think about everybody you haven't seen in the last month or two. That's who you should call. That'll be my final words, Tom.
I appreciate that. Those are good final words.
Okay,
Mindy?
so you want me to go?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I love about Rotary is the positive energy. I mean, you just, walk into your room and you connect with Rotarians and, you get to just talking and engaging and having fun. And, all of you are special to me. And there are so many people that are Rotarians that I consider very close friends and family. And I know at any point in time, I could call any one of you and say, hey, I'm in your city. Can I please come stay with you? And you would say, yes, same as you can come here to El Campo if you really wanted to. But it's the connections that, it's the fuel that feeds my soul. And each one of you have that passion and that love for service and for Rotary and for all the good that we know that Rotary does as a whole. So thank you to all of you for being part of my Rotary family.
Wonderful. Lloyd?
Oh, you called on me. My goodness. After I talked so much, I thought for sure you'd never call on me again. One of the things that really struck me in this whole event today is that how important it is to interact with our members, but also how important it is for us to listen. And I'm guilty of this all the time, is that sometimes I start talking and I don't get the person I'm talking to a chance to tell their side of the story. So I think it's extremely important that we listen, and especially we listen to our new members, because they're new to Rotary. They can look at Rotary from a totally different perspective than someone who's been there for 10 years. They can give you new ideas or tell you what they are concerned about, and also lead you in the direction to make sure that people stay around versus lead out the back door. So I think the point I want to make is that we should also not only talk to folks, but also listen.
Wonderful. Okay, so Addie, what do
Well,
you think?
let me say it's time for a survey. No, first of all, just the opportunity to hear you guys, and thank you for moderating this. You just so natural at it. It's wonderful. Always look up to you and what you do. And one of the things that I always also say is that, in terms of watching people, he's actually now a PDG, member of my club. He was in the club, coming to lunch, and he was paying his dues and contributing to Rotary. It wasn't until he became president and actually went to a Rotary International conference that he got Rotary. 10 plus years later. So it's important that we continue to listen and encourage people and give them opportunities. Go to your institute, go to training. There's so much. I mean, my Rotary is just it's a buffet, and get in there and learn about this thing that we do. There's so much of it, and I've like Mindy said, I've made so many friends. I came with a lot of friends, and now I've made so many friends that I don't need new friends, but I still keep acquiring them. These are solid, worthy friends. The quality of friendship in Rotary. My Rotary friends are the most quality people that I know. And that's something that I cherish.
Well, Addie, those were great words. When I joined Rotary, I was a recovering attorney, so I needed friends because attorneys don't have friends. And you're right. I joined Rotary for friends, and it's just you get more and more friends. Like Mindy said, they're around the world. You've said so many good things tonight. You said so many powerful things tonight. And it's interesting. I do a lot of talking about membership in different areas, but I have to applaud this whole team tonight, Alex being our leader, and Lloyd and Addie and Mindy, because when they were putting together this webinar tonight, they had a specific purpose, and that specific purpose was we want to be able to tell all of you who are listening what you can do in the next 76 days to actually retain the members we can. Every month they do a seminar, and it's amazing to me. Very few zones can have a webinar every month, especially focusing on what really is our number one internal priority. We know that because our bylaws tell us that. Our number one external priority programmatically is eradicating polio, but membership is our number one priority. Now, why is it our number one priority? It's not to grow just to grow, but it's to grow so we have more hands and hearts for service, so we can do more good in the world, so we can engage our folks. And I just want to applaud this team for doing such a good job in giving us valuable information. I always learn a lot when I come on these, so thank you for that. And I want you to all know that everyone on this panel, including myself, if you need help in any way, just reach out, call us, email us, text us, WhatsApp us, direct message us on Facebook, and we'll be able to help you out, whether it be being a speaker at your club or whether you need help with the survey or anything else. We're always there for you. And then I'll kick it over to Alex to close it off.
Well, and I'm going to kick it over to our king of webinars, Mr. Lloyd Campbell, and let him close it up.
Well, thank you very much, Alex. And Tom, thank you very much for being part of this. Is it possible you could come back for our next one?
Please,
I'll check my calendar. I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
Well, when you do, make sure you ask all your social media friends to join us also. As Alex mentioned earlier, we have over 700 people registered for this event. So we only have maybe 100 today, but they have the opportunity to see the recording. So thank you again for being a part of this. And we are on time and on schedule, I believe.
A sign of a great moderator.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're going to keep them for next month. So thanks again for being a part of this, and bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night.